So in our last video, we got the ball killing the other balls, and we have a few things I'd like to add. I was going to go into the HUD, but I realized I'd like to get some animation stuff to make the game feel a little more dynamic. So right now, if I play the game, the balls just kind of move around, but they don't really feel alive. They don't really do anything. So let's set them animate so that they kind of the green pulses in and out. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over to paint.net, and we're going to save ball PNG. Save as ball1.png. Now I'm going to take and ink drop the green color. I'm then going to go to my shape tool, and I'm going to go to the circle, and I'm going to switch to just the outline. And we're going to draw a second circle holding the shift key. Now I can readjust this using the grab bars by holding the shift key to keep everything aligned. That looks good. File, save as, ball 2. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to draw another circle. Dragging this out. So there's a third loop. And I file save this as ball3.png. And that should get me started for the animations. I'm now going to go into my ball demo, and we're going to add a new method called, we're going to change the ball. So instead of images, we're going to have images, and we're going to load them as a list. So ball is going to load we're going to take and make sure the ball no longer has to have an image. So we're going to get rid of this line. So it's just going to have a location. And then in my ball, we're going to remove that attribute. And we're going to remove this and copy it. So in the player ball, we're now going to self.image is equal to pygame.image.load image.load and self.rect is equal to self.image.get rect. Open close parenthesis. Now on our ball, we're going to load ball1.png. I'm going to copy the thing here because it's going to be very similar. So it's going to be ball 2, then ball 3, and then this is going to be weird, but we're going to go do ball 2 again. And the reason is I want the ball to grow, then shrink, and then hit the bottom, then grow, then shrink. So I have several images. So I need a single image, self.image is equal to self.images index 0. So we're going to grab the first image, and that's going to be our thing. Now, if I test everything out here, the ball demo should still work. Everything looks really good, no errors. I can move around, I can still kill things. We are looking good. I'm going to go with clear ball, make sure that we're loading our position and everything. That looks good. And now what we're going to do is we're going to take and make a new function. Self.animate. Def animate. So take self. And we're going to create a self.animation timer. Self.animation timer. is equal to 0. And timer max is equal to, let's do 60 divided by 10. So that's 60 frames per second divided by 10. So 10 times a second, it should change the animation. And what we're going to do is just like we did for our counter for creating balls, we're going to take an increment timer. So if animation timer is plus equal 1. If self.animation timer is greater than or equal to self.animation max, then we're going to reset the timer. Is equal to 0. And then we're going to check to see which frame we're on. So we're adding a new variable called self.frame. Is equal to 0. And self.frame max is equal to the len, which is the length of self.images, minus 1. And the reason it's minus 1 is that while there's 4 images, the highest index is 3 because we start counting 0. So this is index 0, index 1, index 2, index 3. And we're going to set this to self.frame. And now in our animation timer, we're going to take and check to see the frame is. So if self.frame is greater than or equal to self.frame max, self.frame equals 0, else self.frame plus equal 1. And either way, we're going to use self.image is equal to self.images index self.frame. And now we need to call this function somewhere. So one option is initially we'll start calling this remove. So self.animate. But this is not the best answer. We'll make a better answer after we test it. So let's see if this works. So now those are nice pulsing balls. And unfortunately, we've clobbered the player image. So we need to make sure that the image permanently gets set on the player move is kind of clobbering our standard move, and it's making it so it automatically animates and calls the animation timer. And this is going to make the images overlap. So instead, let's make a new method called def and it's going to do a thing we do every turn. So def dot update, and update is going to call self.move, self.wall collide, and self.animate. So now I can remove the animation for move, which I did. And in my code, I can actually simplify my code again, because now I can just do ball.update. And that's going to handle both moving and wall colliding. And this guy's update, def update, self size, is just going to do the first two actions in our balls update. We can also probably move some other code in here. So we can probably we can probably do the incremation and animation timer in our update. We can also do reset the did bounces in here. So this function is going to do all the different things that we'd had to do normally. But instead of doing it inside another function, we break out all this behavior into one nice function that handles all the updating behaviors. The speed should still be handled by move because that makes sense. Save all. Let's test it again. We now should have back to having our player. All right. I need to go to the size. Okay. Save. Let's go again. So now I have my pulsing balls. The next thing I really should do is make it so my player changes direction. We'll do that in the next video.